All right, we're going to move on to the 3 different ways to transfer this onto clean paper. Again, you can just start going with the pen on this if you want it all to be on one paper, but if you want to transfer it, I think it's a great skill to have. So even if you just watch and learn how to do it, I think that's beneficial. Okay, so how to transfer your sketch onto clean paper 3 ways. The first way I'm going to show you is with transfer paper. Now you can purchase graphite paper, or it's sometimes called graphite transfer paper, or you can make it yourself. I'm using this 6B crayon just to make it easier, but you could use a pencil too. And I recommend, 3B to 6B, a darker pencil, just to make your life easier. And what I do is just go usually 2 directions, like cross hatching. And you can cover the whole paper in this because you can use it several times. And then I smooth it out with either one of these smudging tools, or you can just use a paper towel. But you want to get it all the same consistency, so there's not any white spots. So I'm just going to show you a little bit. I'm not going to do a whole page, but you could also do this with some chalks, some like Conte crayon, or some colored pencil. Sometimes it works. You can kind of experiment, but I think the 6B graphite is what works the best. You can also just buy graphite paper for not that expensive if you don't want to go through all this, because it actually does take a while. But I think I always like to show how it's fun to like DIY and do stuff yourself. Do it yourself if you want. All right, so if you have graphite paper, the whole paper is going to be covered, right? It's going to be a dark piece of paper. So we're creating these sandwiches basically to do transfer. So for the graphite paper transfer, the paper on the bottom is going to be your final paper, your blank final paper. Then the graphite paper is going to go on top of that, graphite side down. And actually what I do is I tape each layer so that I stay organized. So then we have graphite layer. You can use any kind of tape. Graphite layer down, get that taped down. And then your drawing on top, which of course I did this the wrong way, but I'm just going to show you quickly, so we'll be fine. Okay, so then your drawing taped on top of it, and you want to have it taped just on the top because you want to be able to check it out. So the only thing that should be taped on the bottom is your final paper. So I'm going to tape the final paper on the bottom. And then what we can do is you can be checking it while you're drawing if you want. And then with this, we're drawing on top of your sketch. So I usually use like a ballpoint pen. These Bic pens have been my favorite since I was a kid. You can use a colored pencil. The ballpoint pen is nice because it has you don't have to sharpen it, and then you can see where you've already traced. So I'm just gonna start doing this line because I think that's where, and I'm gonna make another line like over here because that's where the graphite was. And then you can check and you can see that it comes out just as a light line. So this is graphite, and then you'll start going over it in your pen. Like that. And it's not as messy of a sketch as I had before, and it's easier to erase because it's lighter. So that's one way of transferring onto clean paper. The next 2 methods to transfer onto clean paper are using light, and it's also a sandwich, but with less sandwich layers. So for my clean paper that I'm using, You can use any paper that you have. You can use the computer paper or your sketchbook paper or anything you want. But since I like to teach you new things, I just want to show you the paper that I like to use for pen. It is Bristol paper with a smooth finish. It's a little thicker. It's like kind of like cardstock. And you can actually buy like reams of cardstock at the store. Or you can buy this. I got a bunch of these wind power ones that I just use all the time for everything. So that's what I'm going to be transferring onto. So the sandwich that we're making is just 2 layers, and the drawing is on the bottom, and then the final paper is on the top because we're going to be using light to see through it and drawing with pen on the top. So I come and get my drawing attached to my paper, and I'll do tape like this so it stays in the same place, but I can still do the same thing, lifting it up and checking. So I have my final paper on top and my drawing underneath so I can check it. Okay, so this is the light transfer method that anyone can do as long as you have a window and it's daytime. You can't do this at night. So I have my little sandwich with the drawing on the bottom and my clean paper on the top. And you can see when I press it down, you can really see the details if it's daytime. So you just come on here and you start tracing the lines in pen. So you're doing this in the pen. I'm using an 01 pen. I just put duct tape on it because I'm an old lady and it helps my fingers when I'm drawing for a long time. So you're just gonna take your time and come around. You know, you can pull a chair or a stool up and come around and get these outlines put in. I'm not gonna do the whole thing because I'll do the rest on a light box, but that's it. That's the window method. You just need some tape and you're good. Okay, so the third method I'm going to show you is exactly like the window method, except it's with a light box. And I have one because I use this a lot. This is like a light box meant for comics. So I have my same sandwich here with my drawing attached, and then I just have it taped onto the light box. And when you turn the light box on, it works exactly the same as a window. So I'm just gonna take my time and get these outlines down. And I'm looking at my image and I'm thinking about where I want everything to be. And I'm not getting too detailed yet. I'm just getting like the main shapes and outlines that I was drawing. And I'm still gonna keep this sketch around because remember how it's like my outline of like an outline you would do for a paper of where things are in my drawing. So I'm just getting the basic shapes in, and I'm being pretty light using the 01 pen and getting everything in. So you can skip ahead if you want, or I'll just show you how I finish this off if you want to watch. But this is the basics of it. And I'm redefining as I draw with this pen. I'm thinking about the shapes I want to have in here. And you can always add your own, you know, embellishments. But I'm keeping it pretty loose and pretty light. So I have options, and you know, I'm even noticing, oh, I didn't notice this here before. There's like another little rock out here. So I'm gonna just put that in lightly so don't forget about it. And I'm just gonna keep going. So you're basically tracing. But also making adjustments if you feel you need to. But You don't have to, of course. That's just how I work. Everyone can find their own way of working, what feels right for you, what makes sense for you. You could spend a lot longer on the drawing and get this really clean outline that is exactly what you want, or you can do each step refining. You know, find a way that works right for you, for your brain, for the way you like to be creative. Okay, maybe I'll get some of these lines in, because I sort of want to give myself some clues on how I want to do that. Oh, and I want to get my shadow in. Okay, I think that's everything. I can turn off. What's nice about the light box is you can turn it off and kind of check how it looks and then turn it back on. But I think that looks pretty good.